Love this music. Good morning. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. It is a beautiful, what is today? Thursday morning.
Thursday. Boy, this week's just flying by.
Oh my gosh. Not if you work outdoors. I'm sure it's been agonizing.
I was actually being facetious. I don't think it's flying by. This is the longest week ever.
Oh my gosh. It's so hot. So, yeah, and it's supposed to be, this heat wave is supposed to be diminishing, but it's still going to be over 100. It's just not going to be 111.
Yeah, and, if we're lucky today, it'll only get to 99 degrees. Right? That's our prayer, is that it only gets to 99.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
and I think that in some areas in the desert, it was well over 120.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you do on days like you can't go outside, can you? I mean, you basically just have to hide inside with the air conditioning on. Or if you have a pool, I guess, then you're maybe outside in the pool. But
Yeah. Otherwise,
yeah.
That's like Saudi Arabia hot.
Yeah. I'm like mentally making a list of all my friends with pools and thinking I should drop in and visit.
We have one too, right?
With my swimsuit. Yeah, we got a pool. We have a pool in our HOA.
In our HOA, we have a couple.
Yes.
So, it's, but I don't even know where our pool key is, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, it's better to use other people's pools than your own, just because then they get the upkeep, but I'm just saying.
So we have been talking, we've talked a lot about bankruptcy in municipalities, specifically for San Bernardino, but also with the pension issues that are happening in the state of California. It's interesting that the propaganda that comes out about California is that we're this strong, stable, fiscally secure, yada, yada, yada. But we have unfunded mandates, and you want to watch where that goes. When I say unfunded mandates, we have unfunded liabilities too.
Yes.
And you want to see that where that's heading. Take a look at Illinois.
Yeah, the state of Illinois is a mess, and it's been a mess that's been getting crazier and crazier by the year. Now, a couple years ago, they elected a new governor, Bruce Rauner, who's a billionaire, and he's a Republican. And he came in after two failed Democratic governors, and he claimed he was going to come in and fix all the state's problems. And unfortunately, his hard line has not played well with the Democratic legislature. And so essentially what's happened is they've had budget stalemates. No agreement, no changes, because they can't compromise. And so they've just continued on this horrific path that they've been on, and no solutions to the problems. And so now they are so bad, Aaron, in the state of Illinois, that their financial crisis is so bad that they're not going to be able to pay out lottery winnings. And because they won't be able to pay lottery winnings, guess what they have to do? They have to shut down the lottery, right? They have to shut down because they don't have any money to run their lottery. Okay, I mean, that's how bad their state is. Your state's in bad shape. Now, lotteries are supposed to pay for themselves, right?
They're supposed to be cash cows.
They are, but not in Illinois, right? Because they've been draining the money from the lottery for other things, and so they can't guarantee that they would have money to pay out if someone won big, and so so that's the situation they're in. So it's a full-fledged financial crisis. Not even the lottery is safe. Republican Governor Bruce Rauner warning the state is entering banana republic territory. That's the governor saying that they're becoming a banana republic, facing billions in unpaid bills and pension obligations. And pensions is a major, major issue in Illinois, right? The state is hitting a cash crunch that is rare even by Illinois standards. The top financial official just warned that 100% of the state's monthly revenue, 100% of the money coming in, will be eaten up by court-ordered payments. So they're not even bringing enough money to make, they're just bringing enough to make their court-ordered payments, not to cover anything else. Rauner's calling a special session of the Democrat-led General Assembly in a bid to pass what he hopes will be the first full budget package in almost 3 years. Again, each year he proposes a budget. The Democrats don't even look at his. They propose something that's wildly, extremely different. He shoots that down, and nothing has happened, right? So Illinois will literally lose the lottery if the budget fails. The state lottery requires a payment from the legislature each year. The current appropriation expires on June 30th, meaning that no authority to pay prizes in anticipation of a budget deadlock. The state already is planning to halt Powerball and Mega Millions sales. It is disappointing that the legislature's inability to pass a budget has led to this development and will result in Illinois' lottery players being denied the opportunity to play these popular games. That's the Illinois Lottery acting director, Greg Smith. What he really meant to say, if you read between the lines, is, I'm going to be out of a job.
Well, and all those people who are taking
Yeah.
payments over time, they're hosed, right?
Well, okay. Well, I don't know if there are people that actually do that anymore, but yeah, I think people who've already got their payments, I think that money's already been put aside. I think this would be for any new winnings, so I think that's why they're shutting it down.
Wow.
Yeah. So the governor called for a special session that starts today, or started yesterday. The state so far is operating on a series of stopgap spending packages, but the problems are years in the making, caused in large part by the state's poorly funded pension system, which led Moody's Investors Services to downgrade the credit rating to the lowest of any state. The state currently has $130 billion in unfunded pension obligations and a backlog of unpaid bills worth $13 billion. Reports have suggested the state could be the first to attempt to declare Chapter 9 bankruptcy, but under the law, that's impossible unless Congress gets involved. Nobody here in Illinois is considering bankruptcy, first of all. It's not allowed, said Steve Brown, press secretary for the Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. Second of all, it would damage the reputation of the state, and it's just not necessary. U.S. Senators Dick Durbin and Tammy Duckworth, both Democrats from Illinois, declined to respond to Fox News' request for comment on whether they would consider getting involved in introducing a measure allowing state bankruptcy. Illinois is a fiscal model of what not to do, says Rep. Peter Roskam, who's a Republican from Illinois. While not commenting on the bankruptcy question, he said, this avoidance in behavior towards dealing with our challenges is what leads to the devastating impacts that we're seeing today. Just last week, the Illinois comptroller, who's responsible for paying the state's bills, warned the office would be paying out 100% of Illinois monthly revenue, leaving negative funds for discretionary spending. Ronner claims the Republicans have a new plan that could remedy the state's crippling financial situation. Republicans in the General Assembly have laid out a compromise budget that I can sign, Ronner said, calling it a true compromise. The plan incorporates reforms like property tax relief, term limits, and spending caps, which have caused an ongoing confrontation between Madigan and the governor. One Republican leader told Fox News, adding that the two have been in a stalemate since Ronner took office 2 years ago. And that is exactly the case. Neither side's been willing to bend. Governor Ronner inherited this financial mess when he took office, and his proposals have been met by resentment from the Speaker, Deputy House Republican leader Dan Brady said. Brady added, we are asking the Speaker allow for a date and a vote before June 30th. But Brown told Fox News the governor isn't making enough concessions. He's not walking many back. The financial issues are serious enough, and he's forcing things that have nothing to do with state government, Brown said. The biggest problem here is that the governor keeps associating a lot of things that have nothing to do with the budget. Ronner has pushed for structural reforms, government consolidation, and pension reform, some components that were able to pass on the Senate side. The people and business of Illinois deserve stability and not this ongoing chaos, said Senate President John Cullerton, a Democrat. The Illinois State Senate approved a balanced budget before the initial May 31st deadline that matches the governor's spending proposal. If the General Assembly fails to pass a budget package, they do not have an option to pass another stopgap package, which lawmakers say is an option, but is not a good one. We have a very real deadline looming. The alternative is not finding a compromise will be devastating to Illinois. So what do you think, Aaron? Do you think that a state could actually go bankrupt?
It's never happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, are they too big to fail?
Well,
is the federal government going to step in and take care of their debts, in which case those structural problems are still going to be there? I don't know.
I think that what will happen, and of course it gets dicey because we have a Republican president and a Republican Congress right now, but I think what happens is they call it something other than bankruptcy because the law says they can't do bankruptcy. So they come up with something else, and yeah, I think they are too big to fail. I think the federal government steps in and bails them out somehow. But the Republicans, because in order to get it, though, there's going to be a lot of pain for the Democrats in Illinois, that the Republican legislature and the Republican President Trump are going to make all kinds of demands to say, look, you want the help, here's what's going to happen, here's what it's going to cost you. And so there's going to be a lot of structural political changes as well.
So with that, let's take a quick break. We'll continue this conversation when we get back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. We'll be right back.
Hey, knock one more. Can we go thrift shopping?
What? Hi, everybody. Ray Lucia here with some important information about debt, your debt. Whether you have a first or second mortgage, you're looking to buy or refi a home or rental property, or just need to consolidate your credit cards to lower your payments and save some serious interest, you need to do some loan financial planning with Steve Alladort, my mortgage man, at loanfinancialplanner.com. Now, Steve's not your garden variety mortgage broker. He actually spends time evaluating how you can use the current super competitive interest rates to pay off your mortgage early, purchase a rental property, improve your cash flow, upgrade to your dream home, or even help your kids or grandkids get into a house. That's what loan financial planning is all about. Steve's been helping me and my listeners for over 2 decades, and I can tell you he is the best finance guy in the business. Go to loanfinancialplanner.com. That's loanfinancialplanner.com.
Or call Steve Alladort at 888-563-1070. That's 888-563-1070.
Are you thirsty for books that will fill your soul with wisdom, joy, and inspiration? Then take a refreshing and nourishing drink at Alice's Quiet Mind Bookstore, located in the heart of the Agape International Spiritual Center in Culver City, which incidentally was recently featured on The Today Show. From aromatic soy candles to best-selling authors like Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith and a whole host of other visionaries, Alice's Quiet Mind Bookstore has everything to soothe your body, spirit, and soul. For more info and directions, visit agapelive.com today.
At California's #1 volume GM dealer, Mark Christopher Auto Center, they're cranking up the heat because summer has begun to heat up and the deals have never been hotter. Right now, you can choose from over 1,600 vehicles in their one giant location with down to 0% for 72 months on selected models. It's California's biggest and best selection, and it's never undersold. Chevys, Buicks, Cadillacs, and GMC trucks. You'll find Mark Christopher Auto Center right on the 10 freeway in Ontario, or you can go to markchristopher.com. Mark Christopher is California's #1 volume GM dealer. Family-owned and doing things right since 1975. Remember, they're cranking up the heat on summer deals at Mark Christopher Auto Center, Vineyard exit of Interstate 10 in Ontario.
The veterinarian is not just a place to visit if something is wrong with your dog or cat. Please schedule their annual wellness visit, maintain vaccination schedules, and talk about dental cleaning. Remember, the bacteria on your pet's teeth may infect their blood. You and your veterinarian together mean a longer, healthier life for your companion. That's from the doctors and staff at Arrowview Animal Hospital in San Bernardino. Call them at 909-883-0310. If this message is important enough for them to support, it's important enough for you to take to heart.
KCAA, where every day is a great day.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we're on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So we continue our conversation about the financial troubles in the state of Illinois. And it's important to us, I know we're not in Illinois, but California has made some of the same structural mistakes that Illinois has done. And namely, overpromising our ability to pay when it comes to pensions.
Yes. Now, the difference, I think one of the main differences, though, is that in Chicago and in Illinois, they have been robbing their pensions. So they haven't been putting the money in to a much greater extent than California. California's, has struggled to do it, but they haven't been, stealing money from the pensions for other things. Chicago basically has been robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Chicago or the whole state of Illinois?
The whole state of Illinois, but Chicago is actually the epicenter of where the problem is because that's where most of the workers are that are getting these pensions. Now, there's an interesting article, Aaron, that you found. It's actually a column by one of my favorite columnists, a guy named John Cass, and he has an interesting take on what he thinks should happen in Illinois. He says Illinois is like Venezuela now, a fiscally broken state that has lost its will to live, although for the moment we still have enough toilet paper. But before we run out of the essentials, let's finally admit that after decade upon decade of taxing and spending and borrowing, Illinois has finally run out of other people's money. Those other people, including taxpayers who've abandoned the state. And now Illinois faces doomsday. So as politicians meet in Springfield this week for another round of posturing and gesturing and blaming, we need a plan. And here it is. And his plan is hilarious, Aaron.
Now, this is from the Chicago Tribune, so he is in Illinois.
He is, but I think he's got it right, Aaron. I think he's found the solution. He says we should dissolve Illinois, decommission the state, tear up the charter, whatever the legal mumbo-jumbo, just end the whole dang thing. We just disappear with no pain. That's right, you heard me. The best thing to do is break Illinois into pieces right now. Just wipe us off the map, cut us out of America's heartland, and let neighboring states carve us up and take the best chunks for themselves.
How do you let the land of Lincoln go away?
I know, and he actually drew a map to go with it. This is what I think. I mean, this is going to have people, like, ticked off, right?
Maybe that's why he did it.
Yeah. The group that will scream the loudest is the state's political class who did this to us, and the big bond creditors who are whispering talks of bankruptcy and asset forfeiture to save their own skins. But his map is hilarious, and he shows Indiana has taken a big slice, and Iowa, and Missouri, and Kentucky, and even Wisconsin. It's just Illinois just sort of fades into the background. It's kind of hilarious. He says, our beloved Illinois has proved that it just doesn't deserve to survive. So why not let our friendly neighbors like Indiana, Wisconsin, Iowa, Missouri, and Kentucky just take the parts that they want? As you can see by the excellent Kevorkian Illinois map that accompanies this column, this plan is visionary. The alternative is hell. Illinois hasn't had a state budget for years. The state continued to spend money it doesn't have, and the state's credit rating have dropped, increasing the cost of borrowing more money that we don't have to keep the rotten shebang going. Bills pile up. Moody's Investor Services say taxpayers are on the hook for $251 billion in unfunded public union pension liabilities.
So let that sink in.
$251 billion that they've owed. Again, they've been stealing from it for years, right? Borrowing from it.
Stealing from it.
And not paying it back. And so all these people that are retiring are expecting to get checks, and there's no money to pay them. And so, you know, they keep raising taxes so they can keep paying these folks.
Yeah, but the people, the same thing is happening in California.
Yeah.
Except for the uber wealthy, the people who can afford, because they want to stay, because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
The people who can afford to move are moving.
Yeah. Now, boss Mike Madigan, who's the king of the Democrats to control things, wants tax increases, but no structural reform to bring stability to the Venezuela of the Midwest. And the whispers of bankruptcy won't help the average remaining tax-paying people like you and me who don't want to leave our homes but will get stuck with the bills. Since our neighboring states are doing better, taking Illinois jobs and businesses and Illinois workers and tax-paying families, they might as well just take the rest of Illinois too. Wisconsin can have Chicago and begin calling it South Milwaukee. Right? Now,
oh
he says,
my goodness,
he says
no.
Naturally, though, Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel will fight this. He needs a job, and he'll most likely beg his friends at the New York Times and the Washington Post to write angry editorials to save him. And these will be full of concern for the Republic and those dispossessed Midwestern, salt-of-the-earth, tax-paying Americans, as if. Sadly, Wisconsin probably won't want Rahm either. So to spare his hurt feelings, I propose carving out 40 acres around the mayor's home so that Rahm might be prince of his own country, Ramonia.
Are they going to give him a mule?
Yeah, 40 acres and a mule. And they also, Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle will fight it too. So she needs something to soothe her ambition. So a grant of land as large as a case of soda pop that she taxes so that she might stand on it and proclaim herself queen of Taxwinkletopia. Yeah. And if there are portions of Illinois that the other states don't want, they may be left as federal territory, a wilderness where only the strong survive, and peasants and friendly propagandists kneel and beg for crumbs. You already know the name of the wasteland, Madaganistan. Madaganistan, because it's Madigan who's
yes.
Yeah, I didn't say it right.
It probably is Madaganistan.
Yeah. And in return for taking care of our politician, Wisconsin will probably demand assets like the Milwaukee Cubs, the Beloit Blackhawks, the Sheboygan Bulls, and the Fond du Lac Bears. They renamed all the teams. That's funny. Oh, my gosh. Indiana will also get the Indiana White Sox, or the Indianapolis White Sox, and the hottest soccer team in America, the Indianapolis Fire. Why not? Indiana is a great state with friendly people like Mitch Daniels and Kilroy's in Bloomington. Iowa can have part of the West. Missouri will also get a small piece. Kentucky can take Southern Illinois, considering that many on both sides of the border share Kentucky DNA, as did Abraham Lincoln. A colleague told me that he had reservations about sharing Illinois with the Bluegrass state. I wouldn't give Kentucky anything because A, it's the South, and the former Illinois needs to stay in the Midwest, and B, their state government is a mess too, with a governor who refuses to talk to certain reporters. But beggars can't be choosers. If Illinois is dissolving his plan, we won't have a say in anything. And though some in Kentucky might not respect the media, the state does have excellent bourbon. I would allow Kentucky to send me countless barrels of its fine sipping spirit so that I might hold it in escrow to make sure that everything goes as planned. I promise to sip their bourbon and light a cigar and hum a few sad bars from that song of the former Illinois that no one sings anymore.
No, the S is silent. Illinois.
Illinois, that no one sings anymore. By the river gently flowing, Illinois, Illinois, or the prairies verdant growing, Illinois, Illinois, comes an echo on the breeze, rustling through the leafy trees. Boss Madigan has us on our knees. Illinois, Illinois. Boss Madigan has us on our knees. Illinois. It's a mess, Aaron. It's a mess.
It is a mess. And this is John Cass. And the paper is the Chicago Tribune, and it's pretty hysterical.
He makes me laugh, and he does hit the nail on the head. I know he's being satirical here, but Illinois is literally falling apart in front of us, and they're not doing anything to save themselves.
No, they're not.
They're not.
And the thing about it is, and when bringing it back to California, we pay into that the teachers' pension system.
Yes, we do.
And you plan your life based on what you're told is going to happen with that. You have no control over how it's invested, or how it's managed, or how much the various, like your school district, or if you're other school districts or whatever, you have no control over any of those variables.
Yes.
You put your money in, and you're told what you're going to get. And this scares me because it makes me think that there's not going to be any money left if they make some strategic changes now, and they're starting to, but they're not enough.
Yeah.
Then the pain all around is a lot less.
The problem with some of the changes that they've made is that they only affect new hires, right? So they can't go back, according to the state constitution here in California. No one's tested this. No one's gone to court and tried to fight it. But their argument is that you cannot retroactively change someone's benefits. So they've given out all these rich benefits, and so they're on the hook for them. In reality, what needs to happen is some of those benefits that were promised, before those people actually retire, they need to be said, hey, we're going to reduce your benefit a little bit. So instead of getting a certain percentage, you get a slightly less percentage.
Or push it back where you can't.
Or you're going to have to work a few extra years to get that benefit. These are the kinds of changes that have to happen, but they won't happen because the politicians don't have the will to stand up to the public employees unions and talk to people about the hard truths of what's really going on. So instead, we play this shuffling game, and you and I have talked about it. Where like this new road tax that they did, that it's basically a shuffle, and a bunch of that money will end up going to pensions. And we saw in this current budget where they borrowed, $6 billion from one account, to put into the pension account. And they're going to have to pay that money back at some point. And the pension fund is not a revenue generator. It's kind of a black hole. It just keeps asking for more money.
So there was another article that I read about what's going on in Illinois, and one of the challenges is that a very significant portion of the retirees in Illinois are retiring between 50 and 55.
Yes.
And that means that it's possible that they might have 40 years where they're not contributing to whatever work that is being done for whatever municipality, whatever their job was. They're just taking from the system, right? And so that means that money that could be spent on services are not being spent on services. They're being spent to maintain those pensions for 40 years.
Yeah.
It's because people are living longer. I think that I understand why a police officer might retire at 55 because of the physicality of the job. But, why would an office worker need to do that?
Exactly. And, one of the interesting things that the left argues, and not completely wrong, but, the money that is spent on pensions, once you start collecting your pension, you're now using that money, it goes back into the economy, right? It's not like you're just putting it in a bank account and it's sitting there doing nothing. Once you start collecting your pension, that money gets spent paying for services and things that you buy and so forth, and is also being taxed again as it gets reintroduced into the money supply, into the economy. And so there is a positive economic benefit as pensions get paid out. But the problem is that it's the snake eating its own tail, right?
Yes.
Eventually, they've reached kind of a tipping point, and the left hasn't quite realized that yet,
So we're overdue for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. We'll be right back.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292 FQ Riverside, and K293 CF Moreno Valley.
NBC News Radio, I'm Sharon Reed. Tropical Storm Cindy is generating heavy rains all along the Gulf Coast this morning. Flash flooding and tornadoes remain a threat. That storm made landfall early this morning near the Texas-Louisiana border, with as much as 15 inches of rain expected in some parts. This morning, senators are getting their first look at what the Republican leaders have crafted to repeal and replace Obamacare. Hawaii Democrat Brian Schatz says even some GOP members are worried about what that proposal includes.
They know this bill is terribly unpopular and is about to get more unpopular once we find out exactly what's in it.
The Washington Post reports a draft of the Senate's answer to the previously passed House bill rolls back Obamacare taxes and phases out the Medicaid expansion. First-time claims for unemployment benefits are up slightly. This morning's figures from the Labor Department showed 241,000 workers filed initial claims for benefits last week. That's up 3,000 from the previous week. Sharon Reed, NBC News Radio.
It's time for your KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3 traffic report. I'm Erin Brinker. In Ranch Cucamonga on the 210 westbound, after the 15, a crash is in the center divider. In the Cajon Pass on the 15 northbound between the 138 and Oak Hill Road, there's a work zone. The 4 right lanes are closed for construction until 4 p.m. There's some stop-and-go traffic from Cleghorn Road. In Temecula on the 15 southbound between the 215 and Rainbow Valley Boulevard, there's some stop-and-go traffic. In Eastvale on the 15 southbound before Limonite, a crash is in the center divider. And, of course, in the San Bernardino National Forest, there's that ongoing fire affecting Highway 18, both eastbound and westbound between Baldwin Lake and Camp Rock Road. It is closed. This has been your traffic from KCAA. We are the stations that leave no listener behind. I'm Erin Brinker.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Joel Hillsman. For this morning, sunny with a high near 98, light and variable wind out of the west at 10 to 15 miles per hour during the afternoon hours. Gusts could get as high as 20 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 63, west wind again at 5 to 10 miles per hour with gusts as high as 20 miles per hour. Into Friday, sunny with a high near 96. Today, sunny with a high near 98. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 63. That's your weather forecast for this hour from KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM. 3-in-1, the trifecta of talk in Southern California.
Levels of Power, Fact or Fiction. Author Mike Gilmore brings political thrillers aligned with the latest news stories direct from our nation's capital. Immigration and border security, high tension in Southeast Asia, a Supreme Court nomination. Follow Senator Randy Fisher through the halls of power as he confronts the issues that affect our everyday lives. Fast-paced political thrillers, Levels of Power. Discover more at michaelgilmore1.com or amazon.com. Get hooked today.
End time is not what you thought. In their new book, 122436, authors Mike and Cheryl Gilmore bring forth a startling new idea on the beginning of humankind, how life begins on Earth and when our Creator concludes this age. In the book, 122436, three small groups of individuals, separated by thousands of miles, discover together the answers to the beginning of our universe and all the life it contains. Mike Gilmore is the author of 5 Levels of Power novels and the Sled Investigation series. Cheryl Gilmore is current state director in South Carolina for MUFON and brings a lifetime of experience with UFOs and related fields. As a team, their new book about life in the near future on Earth sets aside most people's religious and scientific beliefs. Available exclusively on Amazon in softback for $8.99 or the ebook price for only $2.99. Remember, Amazon softback $8.99, ebook only $2.99. 122436. Get your copy today.
So you missed the healthcare deadline and don't have any form of healthcare? Liberty Health Share has the answer. Liberty Health Share offers an affordable healthcare option that allows Americans to enroll any time of the year. Even if you've already enrolled but are not satisfied with your choice, you can switch to Liberty Health Share today. Liberty Health Share allows Americans to control, manage, and direct their health care by allowing them to choose any doctor or hospital across the country, yet still be in good standing with the Affordable Care Act. So members are exempt from the tax penalty and mandates imposed on those without health care insurance, giving you freedom from insurance. Memberships are for individuals, couples, and families, offering a variety of options to best suit an individual's medical needs. If you're a freedom-loving American looking for contract-free health care, then this is for you. For more information on how to enroll any time of the year, call 855-585-4237, 855-585-4237, or visit libertyhealthshare.org to request a free estimate. Not available in Pennsylvania.
For more local radio every day, tune into KCAA Loma Linda.
Oh, you gonna take me home tonight? Oh, down beside that red firelight. Oh, you gonna let it all hang out? Fat bottom girls, you make the rockin' world go round.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we're on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So there were special elections in a few key places around the country. There was one, I think, in South Carolina. Of course, the one in Georgia that really became a national. It was elevated to national prominence.
Yes.
And there was one more, and I don't remember where it was, and all three returned Republicans to their seats.
Yeah, there were only 2 on Tuesday, but there have been 4 so far since Trump was reelected. And in each instance, the Republicans have won the seats. And so there are people within the Democratic Party that are questioning their leadership and saying, well, hold on, you know, you're supposed to be getting us some wins here. Why aren't we getting some wins? And the person who they've got their sort of sights aimed on is Nancy Pelosi. Yeah. So as Democrats assess their 0-4 record in congressional special elections of late, one person who seems to be taking the lion's share of the blame is Nancy Pelosi. In Georgia, for instance, the backers of the winning GOP candidate, Karen Handel, unleashed a torrent of ads linking Democrat John Ossoff to the House Minority Leader, who, as The Hill puts it, is radioactive among conservative voters.
Well, and that's, you know, if you're from anywhere else except New York, or, you know, obviously California,
San Francisco.
You know, you don't like that San Francisco politics. You don't like the big spending. You don't like the nanny state. This is how you view it. And so to the rest of the country, she is toxic. I think her approval rating's around like 25%.
Yeah, and so the New York Times began getting quotes and stuff from House Democrats who think it's time for a change in leadership. One quote that's resounding says, "Our brand is worse than Trump," said Rep. Tim Ryan of Ohio, who tried unsuccessfully to seat Pelosi as a party leader last fall. And so other news sources have come up with their take on it. So Politico reports that no coup is imminent, but its story rounds up similar sentiments, including a quote from Rep. Kathleen Rice of New York. there comes a time when every leader has to say, for the good of the order and for the betterment of the party, it's time for me to step aside, and I wish that would happen right now. And that's pretty, to get people to say this stuff out loud and have their name attached to a quote, that's big.
That is big.
Yeah. Now, at NBC News, Alex Seitz-Wald writes that for every Democratic official or operative publicly calling for new leadership, there are others who privately express the same sentiment. He also notes that Democratic candidate in South Carolina has publicly stated that he won't back Pelosi as Speaker if he's elected. Yes, the Democrats went 0-4, but they lost in 4 red districts, notes Nate Cohn of New York Times. The losses sting for them, but they were all very strong showings, better than even the most optimistic Democrat might have guessed a few months ago. But, it's all well and good to say, we only lost by 1% or 2% when normally we would have lost by 20. But a loss is still a loss, right?
Right.
Twofold trouble. Is it worth it? So Pelosi is a formidable fundraiser. In fact, she's the best non-presidential politician on that front in history. But it's just extremely difficult for Democrats to argue the benefits of Nancy Pelosi's fundraising skills still outweigh the cost of her presence in GOP ads. And that came from a tweet from David Wasserman of the Cook Political Report. The San Jose Mercury News assesses and notes that Pelosi could get hit from 2 directions. She faces opposition from both moderate Democrats, who see her as a drain on centrist support, and Bernie-crats, who resent her as a member of the party's establishment. And the message, Pelosi still has plenty of support in the House, reports the AP. Rep. John Larson of Connecticut says the problem isn't so much Pelosi as the lack of a coherent message from the party that can win over voters in GOP districts. It's not enough to dislike Trump. And I think that's a key thing as well. Because their messaging really has just been, we're not Trump, Trump's bad.
Yes, but I think that there are things that people resent about, and I'm talking people, I mean voters, resent about Nancy Pelosi that I don't think she can get beyond.
Yeah.
We have to pass the bill before we can know what's in it.
Yeah.
For the Affordable Care Act. It made people think that she was being irresponsible with their money.
Yeah. Here's another interesting thing. If you remember when the Republicans had their big wave in 2010, it was because Obama had been so successful at moving his legislation, right? And remember Scott Walker when he won, I'll be the 51st vote, I'll stop it, right? And so Republicans were able to make the argument that they needed to have a counterbalance to stop Obama from some of his extreme measures. But the reality is Trump hasn't accomplished anything, even with his Republican majorities. So when you go to the voters with Democrats saying, you need to vote for us because we're going to stop him from doing anything, well, he hasn't been able to do anything with the majorities he's got.
Right.
So that argument of vote for the Democrats to stop Trump really doesn't have much weight when, what are we trying to stop him from? He hasn't been able to accomplish anything, even though he's got large majorities.
He's rolled back some executive orders, which is really the only thing that he had power to do without having to work with other people. And it just seems to me that he doesn't play well with others. So I agree with you.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, and President Trump, some of the people who follow him, not all of them, but there's a vocal minority that is racist, that's alt-right, that's all of that, and so I understand how that can be pegged to him, especially with his strong rhetoric in the campaign,
Yes.
and since then. But the one thing that I don't understand is that that people say that he's not fair for the LGBTQ.
Yeah.
Because the reality is that he actually really is. I think he's the friendliest Republican president to that community.
First president ever elected openly pro-gay positions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, when asked how he felt about the bathroom rules, about transgender bathrooms, he immediately said, people can use whatever bathroom they want to use in Trump Tower.
Exactly.
And so, that's... And they're trying to make it stick, but his track record doesn't line up with that. Now, Mike Pence, on the other hand, holds more conservative views when it comes to LGBTQ, and I think that they can say that he will maybe curtail their rights, but not Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly. And and so the idea that they can just run against Trump and win, I think, doesn't have much value to it, and so they really have to have a leader who can articulate a clear plan or vision, and that's not Nancy Pelosi. She's a fundraiser, and she's the person who stands and attacks the other side. But she is not a visionary, person in terms of policies and direction. And so I wouldn't be surprised if she goes down. I mean, it seems to me, it's time.
And then the question becomes, who takes her place?
Exactly, and that'll tell us a lot about where the Democratic Party's headed right now.
So let's take another break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
Hi, folks. Let's wind the clocks back 60 years. Food was different. Food provided health and nutrition, and using supplements was minimal. Unfortunately, now we have chemicals, GMOs, herbicides, and pesticides that can be quite lethal in the name of our food supply and, of course, the ever-loving dollar. Supplementing our diets can be very important to stay healthy. Cleansing from daily intruders to the body might be critical. Live strong and take charge. Log on to getthetea.com. Our herbal tea is a great way to cleanse from intruders. Our supplements is a great way to maintain and improve your health. When your health is not up to par, go to getthetea.com. No GMOs, no fillers, and organic, and very helpful in keeping you at the top of your game. Life is too short to feel, you know what I mean. Stay in the game, at the top of your game with getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Again, getthetea.com.
Go on an adventure. Embark on a once-in-a-lifetime adventure at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. Experience Africa, the Tram, Cheetah Run, Lemur Walk, and the award-winning Tiger Trail, always included with admission. And make your day more wild with safari experiences like Flightline, Caravan, behind-the-scenes tours, and Roar and Snore sleepovers. Safaris depart daily at San Diego Zoo SafariPark.org, where every day is a safari.
Hi, this is Bev from Let's Go Shopping with Bev. Join us the first Wednesday of each month from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. for our entertainment segment on KCAA 1050 AM and 106.5 FM.
We can't be everything to everyone, or can we? The station that leaves no listener behind, KCAA.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. And you know that women's intuition, the women's intuition that, when their kids are doing something wrong behind their back, they know it anyway. Yes. And the can look in your eyes and know that you're lying to them.
Women are magic.
Women. Well, there's now some science to back that up.
Ooh, science versus magic. I love it.
Science has finally proven what we thought all along. Women are better than men at reading people's emotions. And we can pull off this magic trick just by looking in people's eyes. Researchers from around the world tested if there were genetic variants associated with cognitive empathy, that is, our ability to understand another person's emotional state just at a glance. For the study, 90,000 people were shown different photographs of people's eyes. They were asked to say what they thought the person's mood was, and the results were women consistently outperformed men.
Really?
Katrina Graspy of Australia's Berkhofer Medical Research Institute in Queensland, Australia, says the results showed significant differences between females and males.
Wow.
So, which makes sense. I mean, you have to be able to look at a nonverbal human being and figure out why they're crying or what they need. And I'm talking, of course, about babies.
Yes.
And so,
So the way they did this is kind of interesting. They showed 90,000 people were shown different photographs of people's eyes, Aaron, and asked to say what they thought the person's mood was. 90,000 people. That's a big study. This is a big study. I mean, and to find something that's statistically significant. It's hard for me to say. Too many S's. That's wow. So what am I feeling right now? Look at my eyes.
Well, I'm blind as a bat without my glasses on,
Yes.
and you're in the other room.
It's true.
So I don't know.
Okay.
And I think you're probably feeling silly because I know you.
Oh, see, guys, right there, magic, woman magic. She knows me. She knows me.
So it's interesting because, and we'll talk about the differences between men and women. So a woman will look at her teenage daughter, teenage sons are emotional too, but we'll say teenage daughter, and know she's upset, and the man is like, "What are you talking about? She's fine." But as a mom, that she's upset.
Yes.
And so then the question becomes, do you let her mood control what you do to try to comfort her, or do you not?
I'm going to stand up for the men out there. We knew she was upset too. We just didn't care. There you go. There you have it. We knew. We knew. We ignored it. We hoped it would pass over like a storm in the night. And then an hour later, she would be happy again, and everything would be fine.
You just throw some chocolate at her and run away.
Well, hey, that's my strategy. Don't give away all my tricks. Yeah, no, I mean, I think men get it. I don't know that they respond, though. I think that might be part of the difference too. Maybe.
No, I don't know that men get it. I
No?
really don't. I mean, some men maybe. There's probably some men who are more empathic than others.
Yeah.
But I think your average guy, it doesn't even register.
Yeah.
It doesn't, someone's mood doesn't register unless their behavior or what they're talking about indicates that there's an issue.
Yeah.
And how many women have said, the guy's like, "Why are you upset? You should know."
Yes.
How would I know?
Well,
You know what you did.
My mood receptors are on overload because I teach middle school, and so I kind of shut it all down because it's just too much input coming in through the day.
Okay, so
teaching middle school.
You're laughing. That's the reason why I'm not a teacher.
Yeah.
Too much. I'm a highly sensitive, highly empathic, whatever. I'm an empathic person.
Yeah.
And so that right there is why I'm not a teacher. I actually really enjoy instructing people, coaching people. I love helping people to reach their potential.
Yeah.
But I can't deal with that. And so when you have all the emotions that come from childhood, all the unruliness, all that, because every kid comes from different circumstances or dealing with different things.
Yeah.
That puts me on overload.
You do have to have a bit of a filter when you're teaching large numbers of young people at that age, though. I mean, because if you can't handle all of that emotion, you've got to have a way of filtering and just focusing on one or two at a time, and you can't deal with every problem. You've got to, it's too overwhelming. I agree, and that's part of the skill set you have to develop to do it.
Yeah.
And I didn't have it in the beginning. I mean, it was hard. It took me a good couple years to figure out how to do that.
I just think it's just better for my mental health and the students that I would be teaching that I'm not in the classroom. I love kids. I do. I love kids. I have so much admiration for people who can stand in front of them and mold their young minds every day, and I'm just not one of those people.
Yeah.
One-on-one, I'm great. Small groups, I'm great, but not a big classroom full.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to give a plug here in the last couple of minutes that we have on the show. This weekend is the 31st annual Tin Man Triathlon, 5K possibilities race, kids triathlon, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, put on by the San Bernardino Sunset Rotary Club. And it's going to be a phenomenal event. We're super excited about it. Now, normally this is, and we've talked about it, as we're planning. Normally this event is held at California State University, San Bernardino, but CSUSB they're building new dorms and they're expanding the commons and a few other things. And so a large chunk of the campus is under construction. And so the event has been moved to the Western Regional Little League headquarters, which is out off of Kendall. Like you take the Kendall and Palm exit and then you head west on Kendall, and it wraps around, and then you'll see the headquarters.
Yeah.
The registration starts at 5:30 a.m. You can go to rotarytinman.org to register, and you'll find connections to RaceWire, or you can register on the day of the race in person.
So I have a question. I don't know if you know the answer or not. Are they going to start the race early because of the heat?
First race starts at 7.
Okay, good. One of the challenges I've had, and this is whenever you do any kind of endurance activity, it's hard enough just the activity itself, but when you throw the extra heat in, and I know it's cooling down this weekend, but cooling down to the 90s,
Well,
still
the
very
upper
hot.
90s to the low 100s.
Yeah, it's still going to be very, very hot out there, and hydration is key. And so, anyone who is attempting these things, I mean, it adds to the mystique of what these events are when you do them in this kind of environment. But let me tell you, it is extremely hard on the body, and I really hope they start early so that they get the cooler part of the day and that they've got lots of folks out on the course. I know they do, with lots of water stops and things, and are monitoring people because it can be brutal out there,
So the triathlon and 5K begin simultaneously at 7 a.m. The kids triathlon, easy, medium, or hard, begins at 9 a.m., allowing sufficient time for parents to complete their race and then assist their children. And then the tricycle race begins at 9:15. So registration opens at 5:30 a.m. You can go on Saturday between 3 and 6 p.m. At the Western Regional Headquarters office and do an early race packet pickup. And again, register at RotaryTinMan.org, or you can search for the Rotary Tin Man or Sunset Rotary Tin Man on RaceWire.
Good. I hope they get a good turnout. These events are always amazing, and the money raised goes to great charities through the Rotary.
The Rotary Foundation. We support. So it's for scholarships for local kids. It's for community service projects for local, in the San Bernardino area, and for Rotary International. So it's then that's foundation. So service above self is the motto of Rotary. And with that, we're completely out of time. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
I'm Chuck Kamlick, CNBC. Stock futures are flat. Investors will keep an eye on oil prices and on the Senate's health care bill, which is due out today. Airline stocks will soar. Qatar Airways is interested in buying a stake in American Airlines, about $808 million worth of American stock, or 10% of the company. News now on two challenged companies. Barnes & Noble lost less money than feared, and sales did not fall as much as expected. And Staples in talks to be bought by a private investment company for possibly $6 billion. Both of those stocks will rise. Zillow putting some numbers to the current housing situation. The number of homes for sale dropping at the fastest pace in 4 years. Buyers now have 9% fewer homes to choose from, pushing median prices up more than 7%. Another interesting number, you heard Diageo's buying George Clooney's Casamigo tequila brand. The price they're paying, about $1 billion, comes to $500 a bottle. I'm Chuck Kamlick, CNBC.
I love to play it safe, especially when it comes to my facility and my guys. Everyone's got their PPE. Safe boots, safe goggles, safe gloves, safe everything. If I could make the vending machines safer around here, I would. Believe me, I've tried. That's why I love Grainger. When it comes to safety, Grainger's got my back. They help keep my facility safe and my people safer. Call clickgrainger.com or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
There are two things every parent wants when their child goes to college. For their child to do well and a way to afford it. Now, with Discover Student Loans, parents can have the best of both worlds. Not only do our loans cover up to 100% of school-certified costs with zero fees, but we'll give them a cash reward for each new student loan if they earn at least a 3.0 GPA or equivalent. That means every A in history or B in math could help them earn a cash reward for good grades. Just one of the many ways we treat you like you'd treat you. Apply now in 15 minutes or less at discoverstudentloans.com. Limitations apply.
NBC News Radio, I'm Sharon Reed. Tropical storm Cindy is generating heavy rains all along the Gulf Coast.